How's it going, wrestling fans? And welcome back to Leg Slapper. And in today's video, we are going to take a look at some of the shortest WrestleMania matches of all time. Now, if you weren't aware, just because WrestleMania is one of the biggest events of the year doesn't mean that every single match on the card has to be a 40-minute banger. Actually, it's kind of common to have really fast matches at WrestleMania. In fact, there's more than 10 matches that are under a minute long. Think about that, competing for less than a minute at the grandest stage of them all. So I thought we'd take about 10 of them and we'd take a look at 10 of the shortest WrestleMania matches in WWE history. And I think it's best to kick things off at WrestleMania 10 for a really brief match that lasted only 35 seconds between Earthquake and Adam Bomb. And you may not remember Adam Bomb, that's perfectly okay. Neither does anybody else. There's really not much to say about this match either. Essentially, Adam Bomb with Harvey Whippleman heads down to the ring for some confrontation, but Earthquake ends up sneaking up behind him to take him down. And I'm not even joking, he literally just hits him with a belly-to-belly slam before parading him around and hitting him with a power slam. Once that's done, Adam Bomb is all but cooked, so Earthquake hits the ropes, hits his seated senton, and finishes the match with a 1-2-3, ending it in just 35 seconds. Modern fans may not know all that much about Earthquake, but Earthquake did squash Adam Bomb at WrestleMania, and that's definitely more you or I can say about that. Up next, we're gonna head to WrestleMania 5 for a 31-second match between the Red Rooster and Bobby the Brain Heenan with the Brooklyn Brawler. Now, before the match, the Red Rooster cut what is one of the most ridiculous, laughably bad promos I've seen in professional wrestling, and it was kind of crazy that this guy seemed like they were trying to push him to be a big deal. He says he's gonna make the best out of a good opportunity with his rooster claws, whatever that means. He's gonna beat the weasel, referring to Bobby the Brain Heenan, and it's gonna be a great day in the barnyard, apparently. Someone tell this guy he's not actually a rooster. Cause yeah, this guy got on WrestleMania. Anyways, we get to the match. Heenan comes out. He's absolutely wobbling around in his Andre the Giant singlet, and he's basically just praying to not be beat up. But of course, the Red Rooster is gonna beat him up. He basically just throws Heenan into the corner repeatedly before he ends up pinning him, and that's it. The crowd was happy, but that's really all this match is. Toss to corner, pin. After the match, the Brooklyn Brawler tries to get some of his own offense in, but the Red Rooster's ready to fight back, leading to the Brooklyn Brawler and Bobby Heenan getting out of it. And that's it. 31 seconds on WrestleMania 5. Up next, we have a controversial one because we're going to head up to WrestleMania 9, and this match is exactly the one you're thinking of. It is the absolutely reviled match between Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna that took place after the main event of that WrestleMania between Bret Hart and Yokozuna. It's one of the most controversial finishes of all time. After Bret had been screwed by Mr. Fuji throwing the salt into his face, Yokozuna had come up victorious, and who would come out but, that's not gonna work for me, brother, Hulk Hogan. So Hulk Hogan does his Hulk Hogan thing down to the ring. He tries to check on Bret Hart, and of course, eventually, as the crowd's cheering for Hogan, Bret says, go get him, go get him. I can only imagine how pissed off Bret Hart was saying that out loud. But of course, Hogan gets in the ring, wins immediately. It's literally a 22-second match. The Black-Eyed Wonder literally walks in, dodges Mr. Fuji's salt, hits the atomic leg drop on Yokozuna, and leaves WrestleMania 9, the main event, as the new champion in a total of 22 seconds. Yikes. Following that one, we're gonna head way forward to WrestleMania 25 for an Intercontinental Championship match between Rey Mysterio and John Bradshaw Layfield. The champ JBL enters first, and he cuts a promo in his home state of Texas. He wants to thank them and tell everybody that he is the representation of a champion for Texas, that he is a representation of a true man. I guess that was probably a bad sports year for Texas, but I'm not sure. The point is, JBL is here, and JBL is hope, and he is about to have the most dominant win in WrestleMania history, right? Of course, then Rey Mysterio's music hits for a wicked pop, and he's in one of his coolest gears of all time, that awesome Joker gear. You know, JBL stomping around before the bell, he can't wait to get his hands on Rey. Rey Mysterio's unbothered, he's ready for his match, he's having a good time, and JBL actually starts beating the crap out of Rey Mysterio before the match. The kick that he hits Rey Mysterio with looks like it's an absolute shoot kick. Like, he sends Rey Mysterio. Pretty good with that kick. Now, I know JBL's a big guy, Rey Mysterio's a bit of a smaller guy compared to JBL, but still, it was a hell of a kick. Once the bell actually sounds, Rey pretty much instantly gets JBL in position for the 619. He hits it, hits his splash, and becomes the new Intercontinental Champion. that quickly. Just 21 seconds, that's it. Of course, Ray leaves to celebrate, but left in the ring is JBL, and that's where he cuts his infamous promo saying he quits. And while the crowd was booing the hell out of him as he grabbed the mic, they sure did cheer when he said he quits. Next, we'll head back to WrestleMania 6 for a quick tag team match between the Hart Foundation and the Bolsheviks, a match that only actually lasted 19 seconds in length. Before the match, the Bolsheviks were having a little piano sing-along time backstage, something that makes them progressively more angry. And you'd think that might have something to do with the match, but it really doesn't in the grand scheme of things. The Hart Foundation come out, and I gotta say, even early on, you can tell that Bret Hart is an absolute star. Even when he was in the tag team division, the guy oozed more main event poise than a lot of the main event guys did at that time. Seriously, go back and watch some old Bret Hart. You'll see the guy always looked like a star. Now, the Bolsheviks tried to have a little bit of sing-along time inside the ring as well, but the fans and the Hart Foundation weren't really into that. So they immediately took the fight to both men, basically immediately hitting the Hart attack to get the win. 1, 2, 3, Bret Hart wins, 19 seconds. Next, we're gonna move forward to WrestleMania 28, where we have the infamous 18-second match between Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. A match that at the time, literally everyone was pissed off about, but at least it worked out in the end. This match actually kicked off the show, and Sheamus actually got a pretty solid reaction at that point. It's hard to remember that a lot of people loved Sheamus at that period, because at that period, I was a big Daniel Bryan fan, and I felt like Sheamus was being inserted to ruin a lot of things. And he didn't have as many bangers with Daniel Bryan as I would like. But now, Sheamus is an absolute treasure. Daniel Bryan was out next with AJ Lee to a chorus of boos. And much like Bret Hart, I have to say, it's kind of weird that the WWE didn't see something big in Daniel Bryan, much beyond, he was the secondary champion. Daniel Bryan looked like an absolute star, like an absolute world champion heading into this match. So it's kind of crazy that they booked him to lose in 18 seconds. I don't even really need to regale you with this story. AJ Lee holds the rope for Daniel Bryan to get in. The match starts off. Daniel Bryan turns to kiss AJ, turns around into a brogue kick. 1, 2, 3. Sheamus is the new World Heavyweight Champion, and everyone was pissed off. But at least this started the yes movement, more or less. It started the whole Daniel Bryan movement, and eventually, 2 years later, we would get Daniel Bryan to the main event of WrestleMania 30. Next, we'll look at WrestleMania 24 for a very, very quick 11-second match between Kane and Chavo Guerrero, who at the time was the ECW World Champion. To kick things off, Taz and Joey Styles on commentary send us back to earlier in the night to let us know that Kane had a dominant performance in a battle royal. He was able to win the #1 contendership for the ECW Championship in this match by last eliminating Mark Henry. Chavo, who had great music at that point, came out to about the response you'd expect from a guy like Chavo, but then the ECW Championship was really just like a tertiary championship, so you can't really blame Chavo that much. Anyway, Chavo was ready for Kane to come, but Kane just kind of appears behind Chavo, and the ref's trying to tell Chavo, hey, yo, like, Kane's behind you. You're literally about to die. He's going to take your title from you. And Chavo's like, no, what's going on? Chavo turns around as the match starts, chokeslam, 1, 2, 3 for an 11-second match. Victory for Kane, who is now the new ECW champion. And while this was a nothing match, honestly, it's kind of worth it, because at this point, Kane had his best version of his theme, the Finger 11 slow chemical theme. So, I mean, if we get to hear more of that, perfectly cool with it. Next, we have the most recent match on this list, and that's actually WrestleMania 40, Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre for the World Championship. We all know the story. After a hard-fought battle against Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre finally does it. He finally wins the big one in front of a crowd, and he needs to rub it in CM Punk's face. So he does, and unfortunately, CM Punk is, I don't know, a wrestler. So what does he do? He beats up Drew McIntyre. He leaves Drew McIntyre laid out, and of course, send your money in the bank. Damian Priest runs in to cash in his Money in the Bank finally. And from here, it's a pretty simple story. Damian Priest rolls Drew McIntyre into the ring. He hits the South of Heaven. 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest is your new world champion in just 9 seconds. Now, believe it or not, Damian Priest's 9-second winning performance is actually tied for the second fastest WrestleMania match in history, and it's tied with a match at the very first WrestleMania. In 9 seconds, King Kong Bundy would absolutely obliterate SD Jones. You may be wondering, who is SD Jones? And you're correct in wondering that. SD Jones had an interview with Mean Gene, and it was pretty good. He brought some energy. He said today is his day. It's gonna be a great day. He's ready to wrestle with the biggest thing around, and that's all great until you're in the ring with King Kong Bundy and you're like, oh my god, I'm about to die. It looks looks like SD Jones actually tries to go for a handshake before the bell, and he gets nothing for it. In no time at all, SD Jones is snatched up by King Kong Bundy, squashed in the corner, then into the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3, that's it. King Kong Bundy and Jimmy Hart walk away from the first WrestleMania with a 9-second victory. And here we are, we're finally at the shortest match in WrestleMania history. And I've actually seen this match have different timings, but I'm just going off of the timing that I have in front of me. If you would refute it and say it's even shorter than this, that's fine too. It doesn't really matter. It is the fastest WrestleMania match of all time, and it is the match between The Rock and Eric Rowan with the Wyatt family at WrestleMania 32. It lasts only 6 seconds total. Basically, The Rock came out at WrestleMania in the most Rock way possible, with a flamethrower and a giant thing of his name that he lit on fire. He does his classic Rock shtick on the mic, he announces the gate for the venue, it's a whole happy thing, and then of course the Wyatts come to interrupt him. Bray Wyatt's as menacing as ever, and the other members of the Wyatt family are certainly there. The Rock, not literally, torches every single member of the Wyatt family on the microphone before he finally sheds his shirt and tears away those tearaway pants that The Rock seems to always be wearing, because he's actually in his ring gear and he's ready for a match against Eric Rowan for some reason. Although we know the reason. This match was clearly intended to break the 9-second record set at WrestleMania 1, and it did just that. Eric Rowan steps up to The Rock, he gets a rock bottom for his effort. 1, 2, 3, match is over. When the Wyatts try and come in and attack The Rock afterward, who makes the save but none other than his lifelong best friend, John Cena. Yep. We should have seen it all the way back at WrestleMania 32. So that's it. These are some of the shortest WrestleMania matches in WWE history. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know which of these is your favorite. Let me know if you've even heard of some of these matches before. And be prepared, be ready. There is a longest matches in WrestleMania history video coming very soon. So stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and let me know what you want to see next. I will catch you in the next video for some more wrestling.